So this is Scott Picaric with the Real Estate World Podcast. I'm actually streaming this live today on my Tumor Tales channel. That is my YouTube channel where I talk about all things brain tumor and among other things. So yes, as I'm sure everyone knows, particularly who may or may not be watching this on YouTube, yes, I do indeed have a brain tumor. I that was discovered back in August of 2018, and I have decided in that the last 8 months? It's been that long? Yeah, about 8 months exactly, to take a more natural, holistic approach towards building, to managing the cancer that I have, and I've been experimenting with a lot of different naturally occurring substances, a lot of natural, foods, using diet to see what kind of impact that's going to have on, the tumor growth, and hopefully curing myself of this affliction. So, not once have I ever made myself out to be a victim here. I have approached this with a sense of humor, and I know that might be offensive to some people, that I can look death in the eye and laugh, but that's my choice. If you want to take a different approach, I will not judge you. I certainly will not judge you. I know that there's been a lot of learnings for me in this journey, and one of which is the fact that this is not something that I have done by myself. This is not anything I'm doing on my own. I'm not the only person going through this. I do know that, my wife has gone through this process with me, and it's not been easy on her. And I've kind of responsible for that at times, where I've not made things easy for whatever reason, not because I was trying to be an asshole, but sometimes the frustration and just the enormity of what's happening has, threatened to kind of drive me crazy a little bit. So that being said, there's just been an amazing amount of growth. I know that for a lot of people who are listening to this in the real estate world, you haven't been on the Tumor Tales channel, go check it out. I talk about a lot of different things. I talk about fenbendazole, which is a canine dewormer, which is an anti-parasitic drug, off-patent drug made famous by a gentleman named Joe Tippins, who had a massive amount of cancer and was basically given a death sentence, basically told he had not a lot of time to live, and told to make his arrangements. A friend of his, or acquaintance, I'll say, from Oklahoma, I believe, told him about this scientist at Merck who had given a bunch of laboratory mice this drug called fenbendazole to rid them of worms. So hookworms, whatever worms, apparently laboratory animals do indeed get worms, and they're treated with a drug called fenbendazole. It's an off-patent drug that cures them of worms. Well, in one specific group of mice, they had apparently been growing brain or tumors in them, and administering this drug fenbendazole to them to get rid of the worms apparently made the tumor shrink to undetectable size. As the legend goes, this scientist, she herself, did indeed get a brain tumor a short time later. And I don't know the exact timeline of it, but she decided to treat herself using fenbendazole and see what kind of effect it would have on her brain tumor. And apparently, this drug had gone through trials and human testing, and it was deemed that it wasn't dangerous for humans. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. Although I'd love to play one on TV. So as legend goes, this woman took it and she watched as her tumor went away. She worked for the animal side of the Merck testing community. Well, anyway, as the story goes, this gentleman, this vet, told Joe Tippins about this woman, and he took started taking the drug. It was under the label Safe. No, it was Panacor C. And there's another version called Safeguard. This is in powdered form. Then there's also liquid form. There's also goat dewormer, which I have. I've tried both Safeguard, Panacor C, and the goat dewormer version of Safeguard, I believe. And no effect at all here. Anyway, anybody remember Jim Brewer from Saturday Night Live fame and Goat Boy? I do a nasty Jim Brewer, especially around the holidays. So anyway, so if you look at my YouTube channel, bring this full circle. There are Tumor Tales. If you go to tumor-tales.com, that URL will take you to it. And you can look at the research I've done on many different substances, many different foods. I have a whole slew of other products I'm going to talk about, things like fulvic acid, different kinds of mushrooms. I definitely did a long several videos on chaga mushrooms, but there's other mushrooms out there, turkey tail, lion's mane, all kinds of good stuff that comes from eating mushrooms and drinking mushroom tea. There's a gentleman named Paul Stamets out there. If you want to, I think Joe Rogan did an interview of him, and he really gets into mushrooms and the good stuff that mushrooms have. A lot of antioxidant qualities. Apparently, there was several people in the after Chernobyl in Russia did a lot of consumption of chaga, whether with tea or otherwise, and apparently it had a very positive medical benefits when it came to cancer after the fallout there. But look into it. Check out the channel. There's lots of me talking about mushrooms, garlic. Garlic's another powerful food when it comes to boosting your immune system and stuff. So anyway, so I'm doing a live on YouTube. First time I've done the YouTube live via Zoom. As far as today's show, I just got to tell you, I have been just a little wiped out today. I don't know what it is. I think I'm finally at COVID breakdown, at COVID Armageddon, COVID complacency. Maybe I think I've hit the breaker. I've tripped the breaker with all the negativity surrounding the COVID crisis. And look, I know a lot of people are sick and dying right now, and I don't for a second, me having the meltdown doesn't mean that I don't care. It just means I'm looking for some positivity and some optimism in this environment of negativity and pessimism. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of every day reading about more people dying, there's more cases of it. And, there's people like the media is just sensationalizing this thing and just trying to out negative the story that comes before it. I mean, here in Minnesota, i.e. flyover country, we have what appears to be a lot of reasons for positivity. And I'm just not seeing it in the media. Like it looks like we've hit the flattening of the curve, so to speak. It would appear that most people who are being intellectually honest would agree with that. It would appear that we are, the death toll continues to rise, and that's tragic. But it appears that we're able to come out the other side. But you're just not hearing anything in the press. You're not hearing anything about other treatments, the hydroxychloroquine that appears to have promise. Like, everything is so damn negative, and it's pissing me off. I'm just going to say it. It's pissing me off. I've had it. And I think that more people out there should are in the same position, but they're afraid to say anything because they're afraid the mob is going to shout them down and make them feel shame and guilt for just saying, look, I know there's a lot of bad stuff going on, but I want to talk about positivity. I want to talk about, hey, let's look at the successes and how do we build off of it. And let's quit flogging ourselves. Let's quit being miserable, and let's quit living in this environment of fear. I've just had it. Okay. I'm sorry. I've been trying to sugarcoat it the last few days, and it's been brewing in me, and I'm just absolutely sick of it. I want to be positive, and I'm going to be, damn it. And I'm going to look for silver linings, and I'm going to call the media on the carpet and say, look, quit feeding us this, quit fear mongering, and quit shoving these negative storylines down our throat, because I think most people are getting sick of it. People are afraid to go outside. They're afraid. We live in this Orwellian state controlled environment right now where people are being told to narc out your neighbors if you go outside or if you assemble in groups of more than one. The state of Michigan, they said they've made it a crime, and I don't think the governor of Michigan can do this, but she's basically said that it's a crime for you to gather in groups of any size, including in your own home. Now, look, I'm not saying that anybody should be going around trying to, licking lampposts and licking the keys on elevators or escalator handrails if you've got, if you've got the virus, if you're sick and trying to spread it. No, that's not what we're saying here. But if I'm going to say it, hey, a couple of people came over for Easter on Sunday. Yep, I'm guilty. I'm guilty of being happy. I'm guilty of having a peaceful assembly in my home on Easter. And you know what? I don't think anybody was hurt in that process. Now, there was nobody over the age of 60. There was nobody who was showing obvious, a lot of asymptomatic people, I suppose, there. But, these are people that have quarantined for 3 weeks. All right. So what is, the guidance is that you self-quarantine for 2 weeks. And if you have the virus, it'll show symptoms. All right. Oh, and by the way, two of the people in the house that day have cancer. All right. That we know of. I'm one of them. And I'm not going to tell you who the other people are in case there's some narcs watching right now that want to turn them in. But two of those people had cancer. You know what? We had a wonderful time. And I don't feel bad about it. So yeah, I'm getting a little frustrated with all the negativity. And I'm also getting sick of people who are trying to shame other people for the crime of walking outside. All right. It's actually been proven one of the best things you can do right now or anytime in history is to go outside and get some sunlight, is to go outside and get some fresh air, get out of your closed up house where you're recycling all the, the nastiness that's in there. Get outside. Again, maintain a reasonable distance between other people. Don't crowd their space. I don't like people crowd my space anyhow. I don't excuse me. Oh my gosh. Am I sick? No, that was something went down the wrong pipe there. But I don't like people crowding my space. I don't like the close talkers. I don't like the people that that are so close that when they get excited, their spit comes all over me. No, I don't. I'm not advocating for that. I did see something interesting though today. COVID-19 deaths compared with swine flu. This was interesting because I've heard some comparisons made between the different the flus, the COVIDs and stuff. And this great quote: "It's a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts." That is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes. So the swine flu, apparently, it was estimated that between, again, I'm not trying to be morbid, but we're talking here. We're having a conversation. CDC estimated that between 150,000 to 575,000 people died. Holy cow, that is quite a range. Died from H1N1, which was the swine flu pandemic virus infection in the first year of the outbreak. Wow. That is a lot of people. Wow, that's crazy. 80% of the virus-related deaths were estimated to occur in those less than 65 years of age. This is swine flu. In seasonal influenza epidemics, about 70 to 90% of deaths occur in people greater than or equal to 65. So this is interesting. And why is this important? I don't know why it's important. I just find it interesting because, it's through the lessons of history that we, if we don't learn them, we're doomed to repeat them. Right. So COVID-19, an analysis of countries. Okay, wait. I'm going to go back to swine flu. Sorry to be confusing here. Points later confirmed by the WHO, the World Health Organization. Who the hell trusts them now? But we're going to go with it. I think a lot of people in the WHO are probably honest, but I'm not sure about the leadership. Anyway, however, the typical seasonal influenza causes most of its deaths among the elderly, while other severe cases occur most commonly in people with a variety of medical conditions. And I believe that holds that statement from everything I have read tends to be true with COVID-19. So we're going to jump down to COVID-19. An analysis of countries and U.S. states or major cities with at least 250 COVID-19 deaths as of the 4th of April reports that individuals aged less than 65 years old account for less than 10% of all the deaths. People less than 65 years old. This is interesting, the stat. And again, this is incomplete data, but we're going to go with it because it's what we have for now. As of April 4th, 2020, people less than 65 years old had a 34 to 73-fold lower risk than those greater than or equal to 65 years old in the European countries. People aged less than 65 had a 13 to 15-fold lower risk in New York City, Louisiana, and Michigan. Okay, that's only 3 states. But if you look at the number of cases, if you take New York City, that's like half of the known cases. You add Louisiana and Michigan, I think you get up to like 70%. And again, my data is as of a point in time. So if that's, feel free to fact check me at a later date. But as of today, that's, as of April 4th, today is actually April 14th, but as at the time of writing this article, April 4th, I believe that's true. The WHO further stated, the World Health Organization, that older people are at highest risk. Over 95% of deaths occurred in those greater than 60 years old. More than 50% of all deaths were people greater than 80 years or older. All right. In Minnesota, I think it's like 95% of people who've passed away are over the age of 80. I think the average age is 85. And my point in saying that is definitely not to be negative. My point in saying that is just we need to make sure that we understand that, who this is impacting most. 1, so we can protect them. And then 2, so we can stop fear mongering the rest of the population so people can take a deep breath and understand, look, it's kind of like this. Someone says, hey, if you get on an airplane, there is a 60% chance the plane's going to crash. Would you get on the airplane? Obviously not, right? Hell no way. But, then you drive, say you got a flight from Los Angeles to Topeka, Kansas, and you say, nope, I'm driving because I only have a 10% chance of, getting hit by a drunk driver or something, or what, 2%. So you drive and then you get there and they say, oh, no. We meant that if there's a 60% chance that the plane would crash if you got on the plane that had 2 of its engines not working. Every plane except for that one is fine. You would have had a fraction of 1%. Well, obviously that would change your behavior. So what my point in talking about this is that we're getting so much negativity, but the reality is that, if you're over the age of 65, you definitely need to behave a little bit different than, say, someone who is 25. And I know you're going to get someone who's going to say, point to the outlier, the one person who died at 25 and say, well, see, 25-year-olds aren't immune. I know that. I mean, come on. Like, everybody, I mean, just, stop with that garbage talk. Okay. We're talking about statistics and who is most susceptible. People who have underlying health conditions and who are elderly, right? Why? Because, underlying health conditions, you might have a compromised immune system. As you get older, your immune system gets weaker. And, there's all kinds of other things, right? But I think we need to be able to have like a serious, honest conversation about this right now. So, you know what? We're projected right now in the United States. A couple things that are bothering me. And screw it. I'm not going to talk about real estate today. I'm going to talk about things that are bothering me. And maybe tomorrow I'll be better, and we can talk about more business stuff. But today I'm gonna air it. I'm gonna let it fly. And so today I read, so in Minnesota, where I live, the state of Minnesota, i.e. flyover country, i.e. the tundra, the cold tundra. No offense to you people in Canada, we're taking the title. And, because it snowed again today, and it snowed on Sunday, by the way, and I'm just bitter about it. I'm just so bitter with the snow. It should not. We've been getting all these April snowstorms the last few years, and I'm not really bitter. I just like complaining about it. So anyway, the governor of Minnesota, in his brilliance, has been opening, and again, I'm not really criticizing the governor. I think that he is probably doing the best he can. And I'm sure that most governors right now are also examining the politics, not just the health consequences of their decisions, but also any potential political fallout. And they're trying to balance, the health concerns with the economic carnage that's happening right now with so many people closing their businesses. And trust me, that's not a tightrope I'd want to be walking. So that being said, I always have to joke about the fact that alcohol is a essential service. Liquor stores and the sale of liquor, because in Minnesota where I live, in order to sell liquor, a certain 3.2 beer doesn't count, but liquor, hard alcohol, wine, beer that's more than 3.2% alcohol, you need to have a separate storefront. So you could have a grocery store that has groceries and food in one area. It has to have a separate little shop with a door and its own cash register in order to sell alcohol. It seems asinine, I know, but it's the liquor lobby is very strong in Minnesota. So what we're seeing is, well, number one, the sale of alcohol is up like 50% here now. And again, I'm not judging you if you drink, but I do find it ironic that in alcohol-related deaths in the U.S. average, I think around in 2017, there were 72,558 death certificates mentioning alcohol. All right. Last year, 2019 or 2018, I saw a study that said it was 88,000 people. We're projected to have 60,000 people die of COVID-19. All right. About 600,000 people die every year of heart disease. Second place is cancer, which is just under that number, depending on what year you're looking at and what statistics. And then, diabetes, type 2 diabetes is approaching an epidemic here. Oh my gosh, I'm touching my nose. There we go. Can't touch my nose. That means that, don't touch your face. Everyone count how many times Scott touches his face. But, diabetes, because of our, absolutely terrible diets in this country, is approaching an epidemic level. So we've got some other big problems that aren't getting attention, or they kind of do, but they're being glossed over right now because of the pandemic and everyone freaking out. Now, here's the other thing with the pandemic. I have heard now, and this is anecdotal, so please do your research on this one, but I've heard that people have stated that it could be 12 to 18 months before we get a vaccination for the COVID-19 virus. But I've also heard almost in the same breath where people have said that the virus may have already mutated, meaning there's a second round of people getting sick from this virus or a mutation of it. So the question, and so I have a few questions. One, is this every year there's a flu shot, right? That you can get a flu. Is it a vaccination? They call it a flu shot. I assume it's a vaccination, but is it a vaccination? And I have heard that flu shot is anywhere from like a fraction of 1% up to maybe 4 or 5% effective. Like this is from doctors. All right. I'm not going to name names, but people had the courage to be honest. And again, I can't prove it. It's anecdotal. But my question is, if we can't seem to figure out a way to vaccinate ourselves from the annual flu virus, and this virus is mutating allegedly quickly already, in 6 or 8 months, it's already mutated allegedly. Again, it's anecdotal. I don't know that to be true for a fact, but there's been a lot of news reports, editorial reports of that happening. What good is this vaccination going to do us if the virus is already 1 or 2 mutations down the road? Maybe I don't know. I'm asking. That is a legitimate and honest question. I don't know the answer to, and I'll do some of my own homework on this. But if someone wants to put in the comments why they think that's going to make a difference, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to get the questions asked. That's the other thing I have a problem with is that you can't question anybody right now. Like I started reading Animal Farm by George Orwell, and I've known of the book for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And for some reason, I never decided to read it. I mean, I've read 1984. I've watched the movie. I feel like we're in this dystopian society right now where, it's this cross between, and I got about halfway through Animal Farm, so I understand the premise behind it. I feel like we're in this society now where this dystopian alternate universe where, the government's telling us to narc out our neighbors and, generally reasonable people doing reasonable things are suddenly being made into criminals. There was a church in the South. Everyone likes to pick on the South here in the United States, but where a bunch of people showed up for a service, stayed in their cars and listened to the service on their radios, allegedly, and 20 squad cars descended upon the church and cited everyone who was there, gave them $500 tickets for an illegal assembly. I don't know. It's what's scarier? I'm not going to judge you for your answer, but I'd ask you to ask yourself, what's scarier? Risk of getting sick, potentially terminally ill. Again, if you're not above the age of 65, the stats I just read, I can tell you the site. The alcohol numbers I just read, that's from the National Institutes of Health. Okay. NIH.gov. Check it out. CEBM.net. The Center for Evidence-Based Medicine develops, promotes, and disseminates better evidence for healthcare. Okay. I don't know. Are these guys liars? I don't know. Doesn't seem like they're lying. But do what kind of world do you want to live in? Like, I'm all for protecting the elderly and people with pre-existing conditions. I'm also for being honest about, starting with myself, that my pre-existing condition might have been caused by me and some of the dumb shit I've done in my life. Yeah, I've faced that reality. A lot of the problems I've had in my life are a direct result of things I've done. There's a reason I don't drink right now, folks. It's not because it wasn't court ordered, it wasn't spouse ordered, but I was doing a lot of dumb things under the influence of alcohol. And I don't have a vendetta against alcohol. I don't care if you drink, but let's be honest. Like when we have 88,000 people apparently died last year from had alcohol. Let's see, what do they say? This is the NIH site. 72,000 people. Number of death certificates mentioning alcohol more than doubled. Does that, what does their alcohol is not a benign substance, and there are many ways it can contribute to mortality. And again, I really don't have a vendetta against people who drink. I mean, it doesn't work for me right now, but can we be honest though? Like, is it an essential thing? And you can point to people who are such alcoholics that as if they were deprived of liquor, they might go insane. I get that. Like they would have a physical reaction. I've seen it from people that are close to me. So I'm not trying to make light of it. However, can we be honest though? Can we be honest that there are hospitals now that are going bankrupt because they can't perform elective procedures? And that's not an exaggeration. In fact, I'll get a list of them. There are people who are probably in a serious state of depression right now because their businesses are closed. They've had to lay off all their employees. They can't pay their rent, and they can't get access to any funds to bail them out of their situation because they're not allowed to earn their income. Can we be honest that restaurants that may have been thriving probably won't be able to survive once they can open up again because of the social distancing guidelines that will very likely be in place, where you had maybe an 80-seat restaurant now is forced to go down to 30 or 40 seats, and those numbers don't work for that restaurant. If you're faced with that reality, what might that do to your mindset right now and to your mental health? And I'm a believer that as your mental health goes, so does your physical. Stylists who can't cut hair, look, these are all real people having real problems right now, and who are probably going to develop some health problems unrelated to COVID-19 that are a result of the stress they're under. So again, not trying to be negative, but let's just be honest. We live in right now, I feel like you can't have I've run into it in the last week where I've seen people going on Facebook rants, freaking out about other people saying, hey, let's, we flattened the curve. Let's talk about, moving back towards, not normal. Normal's, it's never going to be like it was. Exactly. But let's start having a rational dialogue about who can get back into work, who should still remain in a shelter in place position, and who can get back to work. So we can, let's be honest. We need business to function. We need the economy to move forward. We absolutely do. And if we keep printing money, think about what $6 trillion looks like if you had to stack it up. I think if you stacked it up, it would go to I don't know, the Andromeda galaxy and back. That's how much money that is in $100 bills. I believe that it would take, if you ran every printing press in the country for 24 hours a day, it would take probably till September to print that many $100 bills. It's just an astronomical sum of money. And you say, well, is it about money? Well, it's about money if you don't have any. All right. If you're sitting at home and you got your job and you have no fear of being laid off or unemployed, and this is just, a staycation right now, you probably don't understand what I'm talking about. But I do run a small business, right? It is being impacted by what's going on. I know dozens of other business owners who are on the ropes, on the verge of losing everything. I understand a lot of people don't care. well, you made a choice to go into business. I know that's a lot of people's mindset and opinion. And trust me, I own rental property. I know most people don't care that if you did a silent poll of the people in Minneapolis, and Minneapolis is 51% renter, so these numbers might be skewed a little bit, but I guarantee you, those numbers say, hey, do you think it's a big deal if you don't pay your landlord rent? I would bet a majority of people would say, no, it's not a big deal. They have enough money. That would be their mindset, and that would be their position. In fact, I would say it's a number that would be within a few percentage points of 70%. And these people would justify that it's okay. So I don't expect anybody to have any sympathy for me. I don't have any for myself. I did make a choice, but I do have empathy and sympathy for other people in a similar situation. I really do. I have sympathy for and empathy for a tenant who was laid off from their job and may or may not known that they get unemployment. Now, if you have been laid off and you're too proud to get unemployment, now that's a different talk. I'm going to tell you, get off your ass and go apply for unemployment, because it's pretty lucrative what you can get right now. And I understand that it's not fun to be laid off. I get that. That's a whole separate discussion, but you need to take care of yourself and your family right now. So anyway, gosh, I already feel better. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for those of you still hanging on, listening to me just rant today. But I feel so much better. A lot of times people ask me, why do you do the podcast and the YouTube channel? And, really I want to help people. I want to provide a place where people can hopefully hear their views expressed and understand that, we think many of us have the same fears. Like, am I scared? Am I scared of coronavirus? Yeah, I am. I am. Like, I know a lot of you guys, a lot of folks out there are scared too. Yeah, I am too. I am. I don't want to die. All right. I certainly don't want to die by myself in a hospital on a respirator. That being said, I also don't want to die of cancer. All right. And I also don't want to die from drinking myself to death because I can't earn a living. All right. So, so I'm scared. Scared out of my mind a lot of days that, like, I could get ill from this, or I could die of a brain tumor, or God forbid, my wife finally has enough and pulls that pillow over my head and doesn't let go for one. No, just kidding. But you know what? But I'm going to go for it every day. I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to do the best I can with what I have. And I will tell you, this stuff right now is kind of paralyzing me a little bit too. Like, I'm getting overloaded with emails of people, well-intentioned people who are trying to help, where I have to start unsubscribing from the emails because I got too many COVID-19 emails coming in from, people who are trying to provide a platform or a place for me to go to feel better and know what to do. And unfortunately, I signed up for way too many of these emails. So, and I kind of feel bad doing too many videos on the YouTube channel too, because I'm afraid that if I do too many, I'm going to just pepper people with too many alerts that, hey, Scott's doing another video. So these are the things that I think about all day. And I appreciate everyone for listening, because doing this podcast, this YouTube channel helps me understand how I'm feeling a little bit, and hopefully helps you do the same, and gives you, if nothing else, gives you a little levity here and there. So, on that note, I intended on being home at 3:00 today. It is currently after 5. So that makes me kind of not a good dad. So on that note, I am going to sign off. I do appreciate everyone listening. Be back tomorrow, doing another video, another podcast. Sorry. We'll be, normally we do it on Facebook Live every day. For some reason, Facebook wasn't working. So was able to do it on the YouTube channel, which I've never done via Zoom. And hopefully Zoom has fixed their security problems. I do not want my image hijacked and spread all over cyberspace. No, just kidding. I don't care. Nothing to hide here. So anyway, so thanks for tuning in. This is Scott Picard. This has been the Real Estate World Podcast, reporting live on YouTube today on my Tumor Tales channel. This video will be posted at a later date to Facebook. And, God bless you all. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you're all staying healthy. And you know what? Don't be afraid to voice your opinion right now. It's okay. It's, respectfully voice your opinion, no matter how you feel, and make sure that you are looking for, healthier alternatives to whatever it is that ails you, and know that you will always have a listening ear here with me. And with that, everyone have a great day. This is Scott Picard. Boom! I'm out of here.